you have the right plan, if you're dollar cost averaging, if you're invested in index funds, you're maxing out your 401k, shouldn't matter to you what happens in stocks in the near term or who is the president?
If we only knew what was going to happen, we should adjust to it, but nobody knows. Or even worse, here's an interesting thought for you. Even worse than nobody knowing, everybody knows. It's not a surprise that we're facing a fiscal cliff. It's not a surprise there's going to be a lot of disruption no matter who wins. And I don't think it's a surprise that these two stubborn parties are going to be forced to come and reason together.
Are they going to do it? Are they going to be able to reason?
Well,
they've had two chances and they haven't done it. We've gone to the brink, and then they've given us another deadline with a new crisis ahead.
Yeah, it's called, I think the Republicans use this more than the Democrats, it's called kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
And when you get to the fiscal cliff, if you visualize the fiscal cliff, you can't kick the can any further. So I think sooner or later, what has to be done will prevail. And probably if the Republicans win, it will be more benefit cuts, more spending cuts, and fewer tax increases. And if the Democrats win, it'll be more tax increases and fewer spending cuts.
You've seen this game before. Is it all... I hesitate when people say I've never seen it as polarized as this, because it's politics. It can be polarizing. But with your history and experience, has it ever been like this, where you would take us to the brink of losing our AAA credit rating for politics?
The answer to that is no. Now, I only go back, my first vote was cast for Dwight Eisenhower in 1952. And for whatever it's worth, I don't recall hearing the name Eisenhower mentioned at the Republican convention. I don't even recall the word Nixon being used. Nixon was actually, if you look at what he actually did, health, so on, or proposed, he was actually a pretty liberal Republican. But now we've got the Tea Party out there, and that creates certain pressures. Obviously, anybody running for office can need their votes. And so we have a political system that is not only messed up, but corrupted by money. And this is where the mutual fund industry ought to stand up and take a stand. Instead of allowing these, the Supreme Court said corporations may make, in effect, unlimited political contributions. Leaving aside the absurdity and stupidity of that decision, corporations can only do it ultimately if their shareholders approve.
Right.
So in this book, I describe how I tried to get a resolution passed that said corporations may make no contributions whatsoever without the approval of 75% of their shareholders. I mean, how can corporations give other people's money away without some endorsement? It didn't do very well in the first proxy it went into, and it wasn't the proxy was put in actually. I didn't push him into it. It was put in by an old friend of mine, because no mutual fund would dare vote for that proxy. No mutual fund manager would dare vote for that proxy. And as far as I know, maybe with the exception of TIAA-CREF, no mutual fund has ever made a proxy proposal for any corporation in which they hold shares.